F1 America. Live from the paddock, we have our second guest on the show. My buddy, longtime friend, Sean J. How are you doing today, Sean J?
Great.
The soulless man himself. The soulless man himself.
That's the soulless man. The soulless man himself.
Shameless plug for Troy Lee Designs here.
Of course. Always Troy Lee Designs Cascades.
I
want to thank our sponsor.
We're starting off great. Crack that thing open. Yeah, welcome to the show, Sean. I know we've been talking about it for a while here. There's some scheduling conflicts going on, but we finally got you on the show, which actually is going to be a pretty good show, I think, because we're talking Baku, which is one of probably the gnarliest street circuits just because of the tightness it has in some sections.
I think mostly because of how vastly different it is.
Yes.
Right? Like it's got the long straights where most everybody is putting low downforce to get high speed in that, but it also has some sweeping turns and it's got some really tight turns. And we know lower downforce is not good for those. So it's definitely strategy plays a lot in this street circuit. And
it could even everybody out a lot.
It's cool. I mean, qualifying was already exciting.
Yeah, big shakeup in qualifying. So
well, and so qualifying, I think we see, I guess it's like that for sprint races last year too, but we saw, I think, how different a sprint weekend is with only having one practice before we go into qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. And this track kind of brings out, I feel like I think this is more of a talent track than a car track. Like, as we can see from Verstappen getting second to Leclerc, like Leclerc's got all the talent in the world and he's on a car that's definitely not as fast as Max is. And he goes out and gets pole. So
yeah,
it's a hard track.
One other person, obviously, I didn't watch quali, but I saw the results from it, and Lewis was up there too. He was with top 5.
Yeah, he got 5.
So, I mean, that just goes to show too. Lewis is an absolute shitbox, and he's still competitive at this track, which is a testament to basically what you're saying. You know, like talent's going to trump the car a little bit more at this circuit for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of teams are bringing huge upgrade packages to this weekend. We just had 3 weeks off, so coming in now on the 4th week and a ton of updates. I know Alpine brought a bunch, and honestly, they're not performing super well with them. So I don't know if it's just they haven't had enough time, with them to kind of get that feel or what. But yeah, it's just interesting. Obviously, Mercedes, they brought a bunch of upgrades too. Not sure if it's showing. George Russell was out in P2, although he did have a driver error that kind of forced that. So he probably
just
a little bit
just like Gasly in the Alpine. I mean, who knows what he could have done if he didn't crash.
Yeah.
So
I think Gasly is honestly a sleeper in that car. Like, he is like super underrated. I think he had I was not a Gasly fan, really, to be honest with you. Especially when he stepped up to Red Bull, then he went back down to Alpine or AlphaTauri. But I think being under the team, I think is the guy for the team. Compared to Ocon, I think if you're going to rank, there's always a number 1 driver and a number 2 driver. I think Gasly, they're paying Gasly to be the number 1 guy of that team. And I think he's a sleeper in that car. I just think they've been having some shitty luck between both drivers. It's not like, obviously, Ocon at the first round, 40 seconds worth of penalties. And then
I had him on my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah. It was a struggle.
Well, and then they take each other out third round.
Yeah, right. That's what
I think if you're on that team, you're just meant to take each other out because that team always has taken each other out for years.
That team, if you're on that team or Red Bull.
What's that?
So Alpine or Red Bull, you take each other out. I mean, that's kind of what you do.
Yeah, but Red Bull hasn't done it for quite a while. That was basically when Max was driving really, really reckless.
Yeah, and Danny was just so fed up with him.
That's true. Yeah.
Set. Oh, I thought I heard a rumor, which we can wait to talk about it. Actually, no, there's a comment. The video I sent you about Danny, we could talk about that. The fastest gets laid and the fastest gets paid. And I was like, oh my God, that's the most legendary statement I have ever heard.
But that's also true, like in motorsports across the board.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like that's always how it's been.
Oh, 100%.
Danny is a character, and he's like the only one that can get away with saying some shit like that. That's what's great. Oh, I was dying laughing.
That's true.
My favorite driver. Everyone's favorite driver.
You know how Lewis is also now a Brazilian citizen?
I didn't know that. Fun fact of the day, guys.
Yeah, so Lewis got like British or sorry, he's British, but he's got Brazilian citizenship. I think it was like last year or the year before.
Why?
Well, I don't know. He's
Probably to
just
hide some more money somewhere.
Fun fact of the day: if you're Lewis Hamilton, you get whatever you want.
well, I know he was a big Ayrton Senna like fan growing up, and so he spent a lot of time in Brazil, and I'm sure he's got connections or whatever. But I think he was doing some charity work with them or something. But anyway, so they kind of like made him a citizen. I think because Danny Rick loves the U.S. so much, we should make him an honorary citizen of the U.S.
I feel like we definitely
Right?
should.
I would love that. We all love him anyway.
I think you would. Like
He's basically American.
Yeah. I think honestly, if you kept him here long enough,
Yeah.
he would lose his accent. Like it would be gone. Maybe
I
about
think-
words. Kind of like Kenny Roxon. Like he's white now, like or American.
Well, I mean, he's always sounded that. I think we get Andretti Cadillac in the F1 in 2026, and Danny Rick is the first driver.
Dude, that'd be mega.
I think we make him a citizen and put him on the U.S. team.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Him and
I'm
Logan
here for it.
Him and Logan.
Logan.
I mean, they could put me in the car. I'd be okay with that.
Look, it's Logan. Logan gets the experience from now until 26, which God, that's a long time. But I mean, normally once you're in F1, you stay there for a minute, right? Like,
oh, not usually.
Not if you're Alexander Rossi.
Mazepin.
No, Mazepin was still there. What, 3 years? 4
No,
years?
2.
Oh, is it only 2? Well, you have to have an ounce of talent.
Not if you're Rossi.
Latifi. Alexander racing.
Alexander Rossi was an F1 driver for like a year.
Oh, really?
And then
Was
he
he
got
the
canned.
other American guy?
Yeah, he was the last American before Sargent.
Yeah.
Back in like 20.
He didn't even do a full season, right? Didn't he get thrown in like half a season? And...
Yeah, it was something. He got canned after a year, though.
Was he as bad as Latifi or Mazepin, though?
I mean, he got thrown into a really bad car. It's not like he was. I think he got thrown into. God, I can't even remember what the team was back then because they had different teams back in 2016. But he got thrown into a bad car.
Yeah, like BMW or Sauber.
Yeah, it was something bad, and he didn't do good.
I wonder if you throw I would love just to do like a wild card round, like a bonus race at the end of the year. Like it doesn't have to be for points, doesn't have to be for anything, or during
Everybody
the break.
switches cars.
Yeah, everybody goes to their farm team, right? Or like they switch teams.
Oh yeah.
So Mercedes drivers, so Williams, they switch to Williams, and the Red Bull guys go into AlphaTauri. Like I thought last year, like Max wrapped it up in Brazil, right? So like he had like 3 races. Why not, for testing sake, just throw Max in the AlphaTauri just for shits and giggles and see?
Well, I mean, if you ask me, I might be a conspiracy theorist, but that kind of happened 2 years ago when George got put in Lewis's car, and he was dominating that race, and then all of a sudden things just start happening, and he doesn't even finish. It's like,
yeah, I mean that wasn't
a downplay that shit a lot, right? Like,
we were watching that race, and I was like, this just seems like Mercedes is trying to be like, oh no, we can't have this.
I don't know.
That car was.
I don't know. I mean, they've always liked George.
That car was incredible, though.
Yeah,
it was probably one of the best F1 cars ever made.
Yeah,
for sure.
Except for the new Red Bull car, but yeah,
the new Red Bull car is good.
Yeah, it's done.
So Red Bull brought upgrades as well.
Really?
So I thought this was really interesting. So they changed their entire side pods, and like they have new brake ducts.
Yeah, I didn't understand the
stuff. Like, if it ain't broke, why try and fix it? But I mean, obviously they still did really well today during quality, so we'll see what their race pace is like. I just thought, why it almost seems like a completely different design.
Did you guys see that meme I sent you where it's like it's the guy in the pool pouring water on himself, and it's all Red Bull bringing new upgrades to Baku?
Oh, yeah.
It's like your guys' car is so far above. You probably could have left it that way for the entire year and won every race.
Yeah,
I think they have the good. They're on the right track, and I think they'll stay there for at least till 26 until they knew, because the 26 is the next redesign, right?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Can we honestly say we think someone else besides Red Bull is going to win this race this weekend? Probably not.
I would like to be like, oh yeah, Ferrari is like looking good, but I mean, Sainz looked like shit the whole time.
Yeah,
he just barely squeaked out fourth. I think he had more, but he almost didn't get out of Q1 with the 2 crashes, and so I don't know. I'd like to see Charles win because I like Charles, and I'm a Ferrari fan too. But no, I mean, I'm keeping Red Bull on my fantasy team, because I'm expecting them to win. Which is also kind of interesting. We talk about this quite a bit, but I still find it every single qualifying or every single race. I just act differently now based off of, who's on my fantasy, based off who I really want to win in real life, So I'm like, I'm a little less disappointed when Max wins now because he's on my fantasy team. So I'm like, I guess so. I still don't like the guy, but I'm gonna root for him kind of subtly because, I want to win fantasy.
I'm pretty sure I just saw a blow up size head above your bed.
Oh yeah,
of Max's face.
Totally.
He's really trying to downplay this. He's a
Jump
big
in,
Lewis
yeah,
guy,
jump
but he's
into
really
Lewis
been a
shit.
Max fan this whole closet Max fan.
The real question is Lewis on your fantasy team?
No, Lewis is not. And it's not because he's not my favorite, and it's because Mercedes doesn't have the best car, and I don't want to fucking lose fantasy. I hope that he will be by the end of the season. I'll gamble if they're close, but if they're not close, why risk it,
I mean, my fantasy team is strictly Red Bull and Aston Martin.
Yeah, so we basically have the same team.
And then I threw in Logan too. But
all right,
yeah,
so
when you
just
spend
took
so much money on everybody, that's the only person you can afford.
That's true. I just took out Logan and I put Lance actually.
Well, I have Lance and Alonso, and then I have Checo and Max, and then I had to put in Logan because he's the cheapest person, I think.
So who did I switch? Because
I
have all those guys.
Logan has been doing good with points wise. He has 18 or 20 points because he keeps getting out of he gets enough or he makes passes forward. So technically, by fantasy rules, he's getting points. He's not making killer points, 100 points at a time, but he's getting points consistently compared to there's some guys. I think Charles is technically negative 18 points in fantasy or negative 20 points in fantasy right now.
I've had someone DNF every race.
I think it's impossible.
I almost considered doing a no negative weekend because I just have a feeling somebody like Max is gonna crash or something is gonna fuck my fantasy team.
I'd put my money on Checo probably crashing.
You think so?
Yeah.
On the fantasy talk.
Yeah. Like I said, talent track.
For sure. Shocker. I actually do have Lewis Hamilton on my team.
Checo's pretty good. Do you?
I do. And I went with the limitless chip. So I just bought everybody.
Oh, there you go. So
I was like, okay, I'm gonna use a chip this weekend. I was debating on
that was a good idea. I
was debating on no negatives. But I was like, I'm just gonna try to hang on
for rain.
Yeah, same. I'm saving that for a rain race, and then I went limitless so that I could buy everybody. So hopefully the top guys, I could get all the top guys, and they hopefully last. But actually, it was a terrible idea because Max and Lewis crashed each other out last 2 years ago. So I don't know if that was a great idea to pick Lewis and Max. Fuck me.
But they're not that close on the grid, and they're not really battling for the championship. So I think it's gonna be different.
I don't think he's gonna go punt.
Yeah, this is definitely a Red Bull driver battle for the championship this year. I don't think anyone's gonna jump in.
We're still, every analytic is still facing Checo getting first and Max getting second.
You think so?
Yeah, because there was another thing, another graphic that I saw where it was the first 3 races were all, it was Charles won, Charles DNF, or it was something where they all matched up. And so they're still showing Max getting second and Checo getting first.
Yeah, just because of the history of things.
Just based off of all the history of the last 3 years or whatever. The person that got second in the first race ended up winning it. The person that got first ended up getting second. And then there was one more statistic that is.
It was the breakup statistic that Charles broke up with his chick, so now he's motivated and shit like that. And
but I don't think it's going to be Charles taken first.
No. I think he's too far back at this point. I think Charles is kind of.
I could see Checo crashing 3 races in a row and getting replaced by Danny before I see him winning the championship.
Really?
I don't.
Hot takes.
Really
hot takes.
Hot take. Yeah, that was a hot take. Jesus. What about this? Why don't we just go with this? Not let him, but Max is pretty elite, right? So Max is going to drive the wheels off. He's going to win majority of the races. And then he points out by Zanderdort for whatever the Netherlands track is. And that leaves 5 races to go or 7 races to go, whatever it is. Danny jumps in the car and then they go, him and Checo just keep going 1-2 and they go 1-2-3. Red Bull sweeps the podium.
Yeah.
I would say that if Max wins it early, in Netherlands, that they should put Danny in Checo's car. Because Max is still trying to chase the wins record. He's got to catch Lewis.
He's not going to.
but he's young. He didn't start driving
Yeah,
an
but he
F1
also
So
stated that he doesn't plan on being an F1 that long. He's got
yeah, but
you
I
know.
mean things change.
Oh no, I agree. I think so. His
Yeah.
contract's up in 28.
Yeah,
Right.
so I mean
And
that's 4 more years, 5 more
yeah.
years.
So I would say if he wins consecutive, I bet he would keep going and try and win. I mean, you got to remember, like Lewis has got over 100 wins.
Yeah.
You know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
mean, how many wins did Max have last year?
Oh yeah,
16,
I mean, yeah, he
17?
blew
Or
out
something like that.
record
And if
for
he
sure.
wins over 10 a year, I mean, he could get up to 80.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's close.
But I think he's only at like what 30 some or something like that.
34 or something like that, I think. But like I said, if he gets over 10 for the next 5 years, if Red Bull stays dominant, who knows what can happen.
And I feel like Red Bull can't botch their car that bad. It's not like they're gonna be even with the car change in 26. I don't think they'll be that far off. Maybe then they might be.
They're gonna have Ford. They're gonna have Ford with them by then. So I mean, who knows?
That's probably their first problem.
Yeah, so they are gonna go to shit.
They're gonna like.
It's gonna sound like a lawnmower driving down the track.
Yeah. Are they doing motor and training?
Hey guys, Ford beat Ferrari. Remember that movie?
I actually never watched it. Wanted to, I never did.
Once.
That was before our parents were born.
Ruined the movie for me. Shit.
You weren't gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Movie night.
Yeah,
movie night tonight.
God, I got too much shit to do. Yeah. Okay. Keep talking about fantasy here.
Yeah.
What's your team then? Did you use the chip? Did you not? I ended up saying I used Limitless.
I think I'm out.
You used all your chips already?
Told you I was gonna use them early. I was gonna go with that strategy to use them early.
Fuck, dude.
But what happened was I used them early and I got a guy DNF every race. So it's just kind of
balance it out.
What place are you in right now?
No idea. Look it up. I'm on my phone.
What's your team name?
Kimi's Conscience.
That was pretty good. Yeah, so I went with both Red
Which
Bulls.
means nothing because there is nothing talking in that man's head.
Okay, so Kimi's Conscience. You're in 5th and you use all your chips.
That's why it's so high up on the board. So
I think
I'm in 4th and I've used 0 chips so far.
you 0, yeah. I mean, I've had really bad luck this year.
Because I feel like our teams are almost identical.
Yeah.
Well, like so.
The time I used my Limitless chip, and 2 of the guys DNF'd. I mean, Charles DNF'd like 30 seconds into the race, and then
I know that's so. Okay, so maybe you guys know this. So here's one of my fears: is like, okay, so I put Max getting triple points, and then if he DNFs, is it like triple the DNF?
I'm pretty sure it is.
It is.
I'm pretty sure
you get triple the negative.
Yeah,
or like if you have the DRS on whoever.
Yeah.
It's times 2 or whatever. So
the first week I used triple and I put it on Alonso,
which was huge.
That's good. Yeah, you got good points there. Yeah,
I think I was first or second after the first week because the other guy
that week you had triple on one and then you had DRS on the other, so you were like double.
Yeah, I had DRS on Max and triple on Alonso.
Yeah, that was huge. That's where you.
And they went 1-2, I think, or 1-3. So it was huge.
Depressing.
I mean,
Alonso. Good. I had one good qualifying session. I got up into like the top 3. I was like stoked, and then that race went to shit after that. So,
did they put in the qualifying points yet?
What's that?
Did they put in the qualifying points yet?
No, not yet.
They're still slow.
They are slow.
That's what's weird. It's like just based off of like position. Like you don't have an algorithm that can balance this shit out. FIA figured out.
I mean, this is Formula One. I mean, Pulp MX can put in fantasy points like as it's going, but
right, seriously. And on the budget they're on is like $10,000 a year. So
yeah, it's like nothing. They're doing it out of Steve Mathis's basement. Like,
hey, Steve did jack up the prices on that. So Steve, hot take, if you hear this, you need to stop being gouging us. Inflation bullshit. My ass is technology. You ain't. But you're writing that shit off, bro.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous. That's why I don't pay for it.
I paid for it the 2 years ago, but that was the only year I did.
Yeah. Let's see. I switched Gasly and Logan
for him or for each other.
No. So I switched them for Lance and Hulkenberg.
So did you end up using a chip or no?
I didn't use any chips.
Really?
Yep.
You were saying like, oh, I'm gonna use a chip.
I think you might win.
Yeah, there's still more.
I mean, it's a long season. But yeah, you might
still
win.
more sprint races.
No, there's 6 total, and you have 6 chips.
I'm not gonna use one every.
Why wouldn't you use one?
You got to save one for a rain race.
Yeah, one for the rain race.
Yeah.
So
no negative for.
I need to look at them again.
I have one left. I think it's the one where it applies the DRS to the top driver.
Got it. I saw there's
Yeah.
like another one that was locked.
Autopilot or something like that, co-pilot or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
autopilot. That one's sick.
I have that one
There's
left.
no negative.
Well, you can only do one per weekend.
Yeah. You can't. Yeah.
You can't
play
double
two.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I used I have autopilot left,
Which one's that?
which I'll use during.
Doesn't it set your team for you?
What?
Doesn't it set your team for, or did autopilot doesn't like set like the best team for you, or no?
No, it sets your DRS to the top scorer on your team.
Got it.
Oh, right.
Whoever scores the most, it'll automatically put DRS on
Double
that,
those. Okay.
which is literally max every week. So I don't understand.
So the reason I didn't use a chip on this particular track is because qualifying was so fucking crazy and like practice was crazy. Everybody looked shitty. So I figured basically anybody could win this race and anything could happen. So it wasn't quite, I don't think it's quite a sure thing.
But at the same time, everybody looked shitty in Australia, and then they figured it out. So, which that was a normal week, and you kind of had time to figure it out because they had 3 practice
Right. Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
But actually, Australia was still a shit show because half the people broke
That's
or
true.
crashed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, who knows? It's kind of like if Red Bull messes up, someone can jump in, but we'll see.
So I guess it's kind of a segue into race predictions, unless you guys have more on fantasy.
Max by 40 seconds. I don't know.
Hey, dogs.
No, I mean, I feel like
We're recording.
you're kind
Out
of
of here. Later.
dumb not to pick Max, right? Like for the win, he's won there a bunch of different times.
No, he's won there once.
Has he not? Or he's
He's
been
won there
competitive and won there, but whatever. He should have won probably more than once, but
Guest appearance.
yeah,
Dogs.
just fair
Talent track.
So nobody's won this race more than once
really,
so
Right.
far.
So far.
well,
Right.
the lights go.
Fucking dogs. 1
I
second.
need a.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Out. We're recording.
That was pretty
Out.
funny. No, I mean,
Out.
I didn't see Alonso based on. I mean, Ferrari could be up there in the top 3 to mix up the podium for once.
Alonso had a bad qualifying session.
Yeah. But also at the same time, Alonso, just based on history, he's a very smooth and like classic driver, right? Like he's got a lot of experience, and a lot of talent. So going forward,
I mean, if personally, this isn't me just being a fanboy. I think if we exclude Max, he's probably the most talented driver on the grid still.
Who is this?
Fernando. I mean, I think he can drive the crap out of anything.
I think Lewis is way better than Fernando.
I don't.
Put him in equal machinery. What happened? Lewis won.
He shouldn't have.
He won his rookie. He beat him his rookie season.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, Lewis's first championship, he shouldn't have won.
I don't know.
That one's always been sus to me too. That guy just mysteriously loses power with 2 corners left.
Which one?
His first championship in 08 when God, I can't remember that dude's name. He needed to finish like 5th or something, and he was 6th, and that guy lost power with like 2 corners left.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's how Lewis won his first championship.
Was it? Well,
Yeah.
he would have won his first season, but he fucked up and crashed.
Yeah, he crashed.
Going into the pits.
Yeah.
He beached it. He couldn't get it out.
I remember seeing highlights of that video. That's just
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
No, it was hilarious.
Do you think he botched that because he was like so nervous that he was going to wrap up his title?
I don't
Or
know.
do
I
you think
mean,
it was just like the car stepped out of nowhere?
I think it was a wet race too, right? So it's not like
Yeah.
it wasn't just like totally straightforward.
Wasn't it wet and he tried to go out on he tried to get on slicks or something, and that's why he
so.
crashed?
Yeah, I think so. And he was
Yeah.
like
I
basically
think
ice
he-
skating, and he was coming back into the pits to put intermediates on. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made the decision to go out on slicks and he messed up, and he was trying to come
For
back
sure.
in. He ice skated.
Lando last
Lando.
year in
And
Russia.
didn't Charles do that once too? A couple times. I feel like Charles has gone out.
Did Charles do it or did Ferrari do
Did
it?
I bet
Ferrari did it.
Ferrari probably did. Ferrari did it. Let's be real.
Yeah, because Ferrari botched their strategy so many times.
Yeah.
What's Benito doing now? Playing Harry Potter like on his PS5 or something in Italy? Or?
I'm just chilling.
I haven't even heard
sipping
of
wine.
I haven't heard of him. Like he's gone.
He's gone. Well, that's kind of how. I mean, for the most part, that's kind of how F1 works, right?
Michael
If you-
Massey's back.
Yeah,
He was
he's
back
like,
after 2 years, but he's back.
But he's also he's not fucking running the show. He's like cleaning the toilets, you know?
I think Michael got botched on that. I don't think they should have fired him over that.
I do.
But
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. He fucked that up bad.
He's terrible.
I mean, you want the race to end in a race, dude. Like,
Not like that though.
He's terrible not for that instance. He's terrible for the 35,000 other instances
entire
that were
year.
the
before
entire
that.
year was
The
rough.
entire year.
He couldn't figure out his life.
I agree with the ending to that season. I think that, I mean, I know rules are rules, but just put the two fastest guys at the front. And,
Well, so here,
hey, guys got a lap, win.
but it's not.
Max has got tires, but Lewis has
know.
track position. Hold them off.
I think they should have played it where they did the previous race where they red flagged it and then let it be a fucking shootout. I'd be all for that. Whatever happens.
What happened like Australia? How they like red flagged it like 4 times in a row?
Well, that was obviously excessive, but yeah,
Right.
I think having the red flag, now everybody's on equal tires and everything. Like now it really is a race. You know what I mean? Like Lewis had fucking 70 lap old tires, you know, and Max had fresh.
My fault that like literally. So
Well, track position, though.
Max
He did have track position with no DRS to keep him behind him.
The other thing though too is like, okay, so Max took a gamble. Like, yeah, he was like 15 seconds back. So like Max and the
gamble
Red Bull
gets
knew
worse.
like they weren't catching him.
Oh yeah,
So they pulled in to get tires, and it just so happened that Latifi spun out, and it just was like, oh fuck, like I got pocket aces, and you got like a
hey, look,
10.
Look, strategy worked out for them for sure.
Yeah,
and I don't fault Red Bull. I don't think
right.
Like
It wasn't like they paid off Michael.
No, and
I'm sure you have a conspiracy.
They definitely paid off Michael, but no.
If anyone's been paying off the stewards for years, it's Mercedes, because there were so many years where things happened and Lewis never got a penalty.
I bet you some higher ups at McLaren went to Mercedes and then they started running the show. Because remember how long McLaren was dominant for, and then now all of a sudden McLaren is an absolute shitbox. It's like
because they don't have Mercedes anymore.
Guys, yeah, McLaren top 10s, both of them.
That's amazing
for quality today. So maybe something's going on. Maybe everybody else just kind of had a fucked up weekend. But
I almost wore a McLaren hat today.
They were going. What's that?
I said I almost wore a McLaren hat today.
So kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing them jump back up. I like Lando.
Do you believe the Oscar Piastri hype?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
I think he's overhyped.
Just like De Vries. I mean, what you do in F2, it doesn't matter, but everyone that's in F1 is an F2 champion, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, everyone that's in F1 won an F2 championship. It's like 450 Supercross compared to 250 Supercross. Every 450 rider is a 250 Supercross champion. Every factory rider. It's like, it just doesn't matter what you do in F2. And it's so car centric. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure it actually is a testament to that, because I expected De Vries to be a hell of a lot better, knowing that he's driven an E champion too, you know, like he knows how to drive. And all of those have been in Mercedes cars. So I don't know if that makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
Having a trouble driving this car, but I really want to see him do well, because I think he's a good driver.
Well, and like the problem with Daniel being in it, it's a different type of car to drive. It doesn't let you let the back step out. It doesn't it's not a driver's car. It's a brake a certain way, corner a certain way, go. If you drive the car right, it'll work. That's why Danny had nothing in it. I mean, he's the last McLaren driver to win a race, but
yeah, I think some cards fell the right way that with him to win that race. Nothing against Danny.
Yeah,
super talented.
I mean, the only one to win one since 2008 or something.
Well, it's also like Gasly winning in AlphaTauri, right?
Yeah,
like shit has to go wrong, but shit does go wrong. So
it's
not that you don't deserve that win.
Well, I mean, that's like looking back at Supercross, like Ryan Dungey, half his titles weren't because he was the fastest dude. They were because he was there every weekend and he literally just podiumed everything.
Oh, Matt crashed his brains out every 3 races.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like consistency, right? Like that's what wins the championship, is like being consistent, both for the car, right? Like being reliable, and the driver just not fucking up, you know?
I believe that I wish the De Vries hype was, or I wish De Vries was backing up the hype more than Oscar, which Oscar's not either. Like they're both performing the same. Like, but I want De Vries to do better than Piastri, because A, I'm like anti-McLaren now, and then B, because I hate Zach Brown.
I don't like McLaren either anymore after what they did to Danny Rick.
Yeah, and then well, I mean, last season, I don't know if we know that Netflix tries to create the drama, but Netflix totally botched and like Zach Brown botched and fucked over Danny so hard, like, and they made him paint him to be like he was like Mazepin fan. It was like Danny wasn't that bad. You guys didn't have a great car, like, and all.
Yeah, Danny's a good driver.
Lando, like, I would love to see Lando get in another car.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Danny get in the Red Bull. I think he could win
I'd
some
like to
races.
see him win a fucking championship before he retires.
He signed with the Red Bull. I really hope Checo. I don't really hope Checo messes up his opportunity because Checo's a cool dude. I understand everything.
Right.
I want Checo to mess up just because I like Danny so much. And I
Where's
think
Checo
Danny
go?
can beat Max in that car. I honestly do.
Yeah.
I think Max can mess up just enough to where Daniel can win
It would be
championship.
really interesting to see if those two coming back together again would cause Max to be a little bit more reckless, like he did first
need to be
couple
alpha.
seasons with him. Yeah. And how he did with Lewis, you know?
I think it would put more pressure on him. I think
For
he'd be
sure.
more scared of Daniel than he is Checo.
I think so. Although I think Checo's going to bring it this year. I mean, there's already a lot of talk about him basically telling team orders to fuck off because Max isn't listening.
I mean, he's been in Formula One since what, like 2012? Like,
Quite a while, yeah.
Where does
He's been
Checo go
in-
after this though? Does he just retire or does he go to another team?
he's
Like,
been in
say,
Formula One.
hypothetically, it works out perfectly.
Yeah.
Whether he gets canned from Red Bull later in the year, or
I mean, he has a whole
finish out the
country
season
behind
and they
him.
want Danny to drive for him next year.
He has a whole country behind him, which helps him.
Yeah, and like super big
He's
billionaire.
he's huge in
Well,
Mexico.
so here's my opinion of Checo too, right?
Oh, Zach's on the show. Hi, Zach.
Is they've thrown a lot of drivers trying to keep up with Max. Checo's the only one, other than Danny, right, that has shown he can perform almost as well as Max. No other driver that they tried to throw in there so far has been able to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's a big testament to him when they build the car specifically towards Max's driving style, which is unorthodox.
Yeah,
He drives with the
I-
front end of the car versus.
And Checo's driven in a lot of different teams. He has a lot of experience, you know, sort of like Alonso, where he can adapt to the car. That makes a really good driver, right? You can put, like, no matter what you put him in, he's gonna do well. He's gonna outperform probably what the car is capable of.
yeah,
Zach's got a
definitely.
question. Williams fast this weekend. How do we feel about that?
So they both made it
hope
out
so.
of Q2, or I mean, yeah, Q2, Q1.
Q1 for sure.
They both made it out of Q1, which is cool. I think so. Talking about like overrated, I think Sargent is underrated. I think
He's
of
been
the
by far the
rookies,
worst car in the
he
grid.
is driving the best of them. Like he's making the fewest mistakes. I think he's driving really well.
He keeps moving. He's moved forward every time, and I just
Yeah.
that one that he crashed out.
Yeah, I mean,
And it was
it's his
Australia.
first year, right?
Yeah,
Like he's
no,
doing
for sure.
great, like I'm disappointed is the Haas's this weekend. They've really dropped down. So
I think it was only a matter of time. Let's be honest.
I think Logan's probably in the worst situation on the grid too. I mean, he's in an old team with a bad car.
oh yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, he's
I agree.
in a bad
But
spot.
you know what? Like they're performing a lot better right now than they did in previous seasons. So
I mean,
I'm-
they're performing better than when George was on that team. And-
100%.
And George got a factory ride out of it. So I mean, you would think
Yeah.
Logan's team, unless Logan's agent sucks, like Logan should be teaming himself up for a factory ride somewhere.
Yeah.
Coming up, if he does what he's doing and like gets forward, if he gets a couple points, like he doesn't even have to get that many. I think if he got like 2 to 5 points,
Yeah.
people would be like, "Shit, this kid can drive," and like
I think he's doing
give him,
great.
somebody's gonna give him a shot.
I think he's doing great. And I think Alex is fucking good. I really like
Dude.
Alex. I just think he's a good dude, but I also think he's a good driver. You know,
I'd love to see Alex get in an actual factory car
like
again.
like back into it.
yeah,
I didn't think he drove.
I mean, he was in one.
Bad
and
at Red Bull. Honestly,
He was
I
in
think
one
he,
and didn't do much.
I think he drove better than Gasly did in the Red Bull, though.
In all fairness, the Red Bull was not good during that time.
No,
That was
no.
during the Red Bull struggle years. So
I'm curious. Would
And
if
there
you
was
put them in
so
there
much
now,
pressure.
Put them
Yeah.
in there now, or even in Danny's day.
Yeah,
Like in Danny's day, would those guys have been that much better? Like way better,
I think they would.
or now? Yeah,
'Cause
either
I
then
mean,
or
well,
now. Not
look
that
at
that middle
them
step
now.
suck.
Look at them now. They're in worse cars. They're driving really well. Like
Yeah.
I think Gasly's a great driver.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. I don't think he could handle the pressure. I think it was a mental. He wasn't mentally tough enough to handle the pressure.
Shameless plug.
Same
to
with
Derek's,
Alex.
mental coaching.
So if you need some mental coaching, come to me. I'll fucking get you in that Red Bull seat.
Um,
Oh, Danny Rick.
Oh God, Danny Rick.
Oh,
Good bag. Let's talk about what was that? Was that race predictions? That was kind of a rant of everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about rumors.
Rumors.
Race predictions: Leclerc DNFs, Max wins by 1,000.
Oh, actually,
Checo second by 30 seconds, and then
Alonso
Lewis third. I'll give Lewis a
Ooh.
podium.
Oh yeah, all
Ooh.
right. I
Lewis
don't know
was the
that.
third.
I don't know that the Mercedes is gonna look as good this weekend as they did in Australia. I don't think this track suits their car as well. It's clear they're putting a lot more downforce than some of the other teams. I will say that it's shown in prior seasons winning qualifying does not equal
No, it
winning the
doesn't.
race. And I think if you have a fast car in qualifying, oftentimes your race pace is not the best.
That first corner though is just terrible because like you can go from hero to zero really fucking fast.
I think Lewis gets a good start and
Yeah.
holds his position the entire race.
I think their
I think
upgrades are
Alonso
gonna-
gets fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm for it.
I'm worried about Logan in this tight of a track.
he's gonna
I'm
crash.
thinking that one alley. I'm just waiting for somebody to clog that alley.
He's-
Like bad.
I think he'll crash
Yeah.
because he's over driving that car. I honestly think his talent is better than what that car is.
Oh,
And
for
he's
sure.
over driving it so much that he's out of control at some parts.
I wish Lewis would get COVID one weekend and then Logan gets to move up for like a weekend.
I think he'd win the race.
Oh no, because it would be
Sorry,
Mick,
we could say
Mick would jump in
Mick
the
would.
car.
Oh, but that would be good too.
I'd like to
What
see
if
that
both Mercedes guys get sick? I don't know. Food poisoning, can't drive. We're pulling up Logan and Mick and throwing them in the car. Two rookies, they go back like 1-2. I'd be there for that. I'd so poor. I'd go buy some Mercedes swag after that.
I'm gonna buy you some Mercedes. Right?
If you buy it, I'll wear it. I just can't buy
I-
it.
I hated seeing Mick get out of the
Oh, I don't
Haas,
have any.
and now the Haas car is better.
Dude,
And Vettel retiring, and now the Aston Martin is a podium car.
Yeah,
dude.
I hated seeing that.
yeah, that's a bummer. I
It's-
really like Vettel.
He's one of my
Vettel's
favorite
kicking himself?
drivers.
Do you think he's like, fuck, why did I leave? Or well, I've heard that he's happy that he left, but
Yeah,
is he like,
I mean,
man, I could have been in contention this year?
he's won 4 world championships. I mean,
Dude, that's
what can you do?
yeah.
do we think Alonso's gonna get a third?
No,
Yeah, I don't.
I don't think the car is good enough.
Do you think he could get into a car? Like if he performs this year, do you think he could get into a car or somehow get more support for Aston Martin to where they could be competitive?
If the car gets better, he'll win.
Right.
I think if he was in an equal car to Max, I think he could win the championship.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Max will crash more than Fernando will.
Yeah, and he defends really well. Like he knows how to drive. He knows how to push. He knows how to like
Passes
I mean,
very
he's a
well.
good driver. Don't get me wrong.
You know,
He's one to me. He's one of the best drivers
I
of all
don't
time.
like him because I think he's an asshole. Just like I don't like Max because he's an asshole. But they're both really good fucking drivers, and I mean, they're talented. I will always say that. You
I
know?
mean, he drove my favorite car of all time, so I have to love Fernando.
what was that? A Ford Focus?
Oh, those 2004 Renaults.
Oh, got it.
That greatest car of all time,
yeah,
if you ask me. Greatest.
Speaking of-
that was
of
when
all
they were
time.
V10.
V10s,
Yeah,
blue and yellow Renaults, greatest F1 car ever.
I can see it. I can see it. Speaking of,
Just go back and watch YouTube highlights of him. It's just amazing.
reliving your glory days.
He passes, I think it's Ralph Schumacher at one of the races on the outside of a high-speed corner, and he flies by him like he's standing still.
just gangster.
Everyone's breaking into the corner, and he just floored it through the entire corner. And it's just screaming loud. It's the sickest pass ever.
Big energy there. Speaking of Fernando, let's just jump into the rumor
Let's
segment.
jump into rumors.
Rumor on the street is that he's dating or talking, entertaining Taylor Swift, I believe. That's what I
Tay-Tay.
saw the video. So,
Tay-Tay.
how do we feel about that? I'll go first because I introduced the topic. I think she's just a gold digger at this point and trying to stay relevant because, which at the same time she has been.
Doesn't
I
she
think,
have enough
selling
gold
out.
of her own?
She's been selling out her tour, which I don't understand how, but like people still love her even though she's done.
Is it even a real picture?
I don't know if there's a real picture of that. Like,
Well, it started spreading because there was a picture of them too, but with all of the AI going on, is it even real? Like,
Oh, seriously, good point.
ChatGPT pulled that up. Like, oh, here's a picture.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought he was married until this all started happening. I'm like, oh, I guess he's only been married once in like his entire life or something like that. And that ended like
He's a
back in
lady killer. I'll say
2016.
that. He's a lady killer, dude. He slays.
I don't pay
Fernando.
attention.
He's Fernando
to
Alonso.
people's relationships enough, I guess. I just worry about.
Yeah, I don't
track
care
performance.
too
Well,
much
then I
about it.
heard Lando not confirmed it, but it was in a
Oh,
video.
well, they were talking about the Alonso thing, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Lando was
Yeah.
like,
What did he?
yeah.
Who was he talking about? He can't confirm nor deny.
Gal Gadot or Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
No.
she's super married too.
Yeah,
That doesn't
she's
mean shit. Isn't like Tom Cruise and his wife like aren't they swingers or some shit or Scientology both? All
I
the above?
mean, I don't know.
Who cares?
No, I just think it's funny. Also, the rumor is that the CEO or whoever of AlphaTauri, the guy at AlphaTauri, is supposed to step down at the end of this year.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was just talking about him on one of our last episodes, where because he was talking about Franz Toast, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how all the drivers should have like the same salary and like be capped at a certain level. And an interviewer was asking Lewis about him. Lewis was like, "Who is this guy? What's his name?"
Yeah.
Who is he? Like, I have no like,
Irrelevant.
fuck that guy. I have no idea who he even is. And so I think, yeah, get the guy out of here. Fuck it.
I mean, that team's moving to the UK apparently too, from what all the rumors were.
So
Where did
So-
I think they're
They're
still
gonna move to
based.
Silverstone or something like that.
Is that where they're moving?
Yeah, out there by Silverstone, and they're gonna.
I think
Yeah,
they're
that's what
still
the
based
rumors
in
are.
Italy right now, right?
It's
They're with Red Bull,
Yeah.
I think still.
Yeah, but Red Bull's in Austria.
I think they're with Red Bull.
I think they're still because I think it was an Italian team that turned over.
It was
They're still in Italy.
Jaguar. No, Jaguar is what Red Bull is now. I don't know. I don't know what team it
No,
was.
I'm not positive. We'll have to look it up.
So is it going to stay a Red Bull team then?
No, the rumor is they're gonna go to the UK somewhere, and it's gonna become its own team.
Really?
Oh, really? So
That's
so,
what
I mean,
I've read.
Is it going to be sort of like Williams, where it's still going to be feeder team?
Yeah.
Red Bull. It's just not going to be there. They're not going to own it.
Well, I mean, yeah, who knows? Williams has been around longer than Mercedes has. That's what's
For sure,
crazy
yeah.
about Williams being the Mercedes second team. It should be the opposite, but
Yeah.
True.
Mercedes has the money, so
And Williams isn't even Williams anymore.
I know
Right?
it's
Was it like
it's a sad, it's a remnant of what it used to be.
Jordan, welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, it's cool that they're keeping kind of the roots though.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Any other rumors we gotta cover?
Oh, probably the hottest one that we just discovered today. Charles Leclerc is supposedly in talks
Oh,
with Mercedes. That's pretty hot and heavy. And then that means what is that going to do to a lot of like who's leaving? I know Lewis isn't happy, and I don't think George is going to bounce. So
It's Lewis. It's got to be Lewis.
Lewis to Ferrari then?
Yeah, it's got to be Lewis.
I don't think Lewis is that unhappy. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know. You do? You think like internally things are that bad?
You have to remember that McLaren, when he started racing, McLaren was a dominant team. And he got there, was competitive. And as soon as that team was bad, he jumped ship. Now, Mercedes was good, and now it's edging off. He's going to jump ship. He's going to go to where he can win. Because he's got to beat Michael.
Do we think we can? That's
What do you mean?
that's
Oh,
a
like
big-
for championships?
Yeah, he's tied with Michael right now, but
I
he's
mean,
got
if we argue it, he already has, you know.
Oh my god!
Not. I'm just,
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. You know, I'm kidding. I just love to
Do
roast.
you think he could? Do you think he could win with for
Michael won in a Benetton. I mean, there's a difference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, different era. Look, I like Michael too. I am bummed that he's not doing super well.
I know. I wish he'd wake up.
Yeah.
the one thing though about
I hope Mick gets another ride and like can step it up.
I do too. I was really hurtful to see that name be out of F1 so fast.
Yeah. And I
I
think
mean-
he's a lot better than he drove as well.
Gunther's just an asshole.
I mean they
I
should
don't know. I think he's okay. They kept fucking Magnussen and Grosjean forever, and they were just sucking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
So,
that's why they should have kept Mick. I mean, you're gonna bring
I
back
agree.
Hulkenberg, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but Hulkenberg's been kind of holding his own. Like he does good in qualifying, but again, they can't do shit in the race. So
Yeah, he didn't qualify that great today. So
yeah, I
hopefully
mean,
he
I think
can
now this
race
is the
better.
decline of Haas. As much as I'd love to support Haas, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, do we really think that Lewis can win another title? He's getting up there in age.
No.
I do. I mean, I don't think his driving is any worse. Like,
I don't think he can beat Max.
you don't think so?
No, I think once Max beat him, that's it.
Killed his mojo.
I don't think so.
It's kind of like the Ryan Dungey, Ryan Villapoto thing in Supercross. It's once Villapoto beat Dungey, you just can't beat him again. It just
I
gets in
don't
his
think
head.
so. I don't think
The
Lewis is
transfer
that
power.
weak, honestly. Like, I don't think it's because Lewis is, like, obviously Mercedes doesn't have a competitive car. I think that's the real issue.
Yeah, I mean maybe. It's
But then what
they
happened?
they had one, and I mean, all fairness, yeah, Lewis was winning the championship in 2022, but Max should have won that championship before the last race even happened. You got to remember he crashed out of how many races?
Yeah, but
and
Lewis did
still
too,
went down
right?
the last race.
Lewis did
I
too.
think he only DNF'd one, wasn't it?
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, it was something
I
like
guess
that.
He didn't,
Max
he didn't
DNF.
DNF, but he had that magic failure and he fucking right through the first corner and then he was in.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Right.
that one.
Um,
The brakes were smoking on the starting grid.
when he DNF'd is because Max crashed him.
Yeah,
Or
Oh,
in
it was in
Australia.
that was 100% Lewis's fault, but we'll say it. Max
Was
crashed
it
him.
in Italy?
What?
Was it in Italy?
When Max landed on top of him?
That was
Yeah.
dude. That was not
No,
Lewis's fault.
That
No,
wasn't
sorry.
Lewis's fault.
That was Lewis's fault.
No,
Lewis
That
should
was
have given way
Lewis's
more
fault.
room.
It was
wait,
Lewis's
did you guys
fault.
see
I've watched every analytic on
that
that you
exact-
possibly watch.
Then why did Max get penalized? Because he fucked up.
Because
The FIA
that's
No,
what Ferrari.
I
yeah.
disagree. I disagree. If you go back
That's
and
what
look at
Mercedes
this,
did.
if you go back and look, Lewis had to go off the track because Max went the same line that Lewis did. Lewis takes that line. Max doesn't go off the track and he hits him.
He gave him no
So-
room.
Max didn't give him room either. And Lewis had to go off the track to avoid it so he didn't hit him.
How about this? F1 cars are too big now. They need to shrink them back down to what they were so that they could go 2 cars in a corner. Dude, some of the
Bring back V10s and make the cars smaller.
honestly though, like how much they've progressed in size, it's like literally going from driving like a Honda Civic to
It's a
driving
go-kart.
like a BMW 7 Series. It's literally
Yeah.
doubled the size.
It's almost like you need tracks, like actual tracks,
You-
right? It's like
yeah, you need
street
to be
circuits
wider
that
now.
aren't as good.
Have you guys seen the pictures of the Williams next to the Williams now? Have you seen that picture?
Yeah. Dude,
But
it's
it's-
like
I know
It's
it's mega.
double the size.
it's
of
almost
what
like
it-
a wheel, like a whole wheel ahead of it now, right? Like
no,
the-
it's huge.
Yeah.
It looks like a toy next to a regular car.
But all the safety features and stuff that they have now are.
You can put it in the old car.
What's
Well,
that?
You can put them in the old car.
I think either you make the
All the
street circuit
downforce they
wider,
have.
which I'm sure it's hard to do. So it's like you can't make the street circuit wider, right?
You
But
can't
like,
do it.
so for racing wise, like to be competitive, whether it's the Lewis and Max incident or whatever, now like the Silverstone crash, they were 2 wide around that corner. You couldn't go like 3 wide there. Like
Yeah.
and then also and that probably led to why they collided a little bit as well because of the room. Like, so it makes the racing, yes, the technology's better, the cars are going fast, the downforce is better, everything's better, but at the same time, it makes the racing worse for us that the cars aren't that wide, or the cars are so wide now you can't go too wide, or you can't I can't stuff this guy without the risk of us taking each other out. So
I mean-
you can't drive it in. Like you're passing before the corner or on the exit of the corner. That's it. You're not through the corner together. Like the
Yeah,
example you
like the
said,
old
like
days. Yeah.
when Alonso went around the outside of that dude. Now you might be able to do that in some corner, maybe at Circuit of the
Yeah,
Americas.
but you're usually putting 1 or like 2 tires off, and that's real sketch.
yeah.
Like going in the grass, like so. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Because
It's
as much as I love Monaco, just also how iconic it is.
It sucks
terrible
to
now.
watch. It's like the
It's-
worst track to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is shitty.
If
So
you can win qualifying and have a decent strategy, you win the race essentially.
should we
Probably should
fuck the
transition.
FIA rant?
Yeah, let's talk about the fuck the
fuck
FIA
it, yeah.
rant of
I've
the
been on
day.
that rant for years. All the Mercedes bullcrap that ever happened. But yeah, fuck the FIA.
You give us your rant on the layout or the schedule for this weekend.
Yeah.
You
bullshit.
texted me that like Thursday or Wednesday. You're like, we need to get on the episode.
You give the guys 1 practice. You put them out for qualifying. You put them into a 30-minute sprint race where everything could go wrong for 8 points with no practices in the 3 qualifying sessions, and then all it matters for is 8 points. They go out and race for 30 minutes, and it's a 15 lap race for 8 points. It's
Damn.
like, what happened? Who's going to crash their car? It's the most dangerous track to crash on in the calendar year, and guaranteed someone's going to crash during this race, and it's going to screw them for the normal race.
Well,
I mean, what happens if Leclerc goes out and crashes in the tight little S's right there,
and then takes a motor, and then
it puts him on the back of the grid?
Yeah. Although the sprint race doesn't decide the grid this year.
No, but if you ruin your car in it, it does.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Weird. Why does the sprint?
There's-
Then what's the point of the sprint race if it's not going to
It's-
determine the grid? Like, there's
It
no
doesn't
point in
do
doing a
anything.
sprint
That's
race.
what I'm
I
saying.
know. I know. So it's really interesting. So now that they have
Last year it determined the sprint or the
last
qualifying, right?
last year the sprint
It mattered last year because it counted for points,
Right.
and
and it
it
set the
gave
grid.
you your grid, which
Yeah, if
made
you won, you
sense.
got pole position.
Yeah. But now you're taking out practice sessions, what the guys need, especially when they bring new packages to the race.
I agree.
You limit to the tires that they're going to do in qualifying. They have to have medium, soft.
That's for the
So-
sprint qualifying, not the
For the sprint qualifying, yeah, which means they waste more tires because you're getting you waste a set of softs because you have to have 2 qualifying sessions, and then the race matters for 8 points. I mean, what happens if I DNF and then I lose 20 points in the regular race because I crashed during the sprint race?
I mean, it seems to me like they're trying to spice things up and make it more action for us as viewers, right? So personally, I agree with you. It fucks up the teams and their racing and all the shit.
It's
From a
fucks it up.
spectator, I love qualifying. Getting 2 qualifyings in a weekend, wow, that's fucking exciting. And 2 races in a weekend, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
it's exciting.
So
Yeah.
from like it's like NFL going for the Super Bowl, right? It's all about the views and making it more exciting than it is actually logistics.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I understand it and everything. It's more fun for the people that are at the race too,
yeah,
because they get to see racing all weekend. But this is what happens when the FIA backs themselves into a corner and fucks themselves with all the rules they've made. Like if they had the
Well, yeah,
old
so-
time system, it would be even better.
so here to add to that, I think too, because this is something I was thinking about earlier, is they should have not inquired this now that there's a cost cap, because
Exactly.
there's going to be a lot more crashes, a lot more, like a lot more spending because you're racing twice now on that week, like
And sprint races are always more disastrous than normal races because everyone's going all out.
totally.
There is no time management, tire management, nothing.
Yeah,
Everyone's
My
going.
time to shine. So
because
even the low teams are like, yeah, cool. Like I can, which is dumb though. I don't know if it'll be different because I don't know. As a racer, you don't really think like, oh, I don't really need to go win this because it's not going to affect my qualifying. I already got pole, or I already got this, or I alrety got that.
But those
But
8
so-
points matter.
But
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Especially with as long as season, like every
point's
little
gonna
point
matter.
matters.
Yeah. I mean, you look what happens with Max and Lewis a couple years ago. I mean, it comes down to one.
Exactly. And you look at even how much money the teams are getting, right, for constructor titles, even from like 4th to 5th, is millions of dollars. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions. So it's like
I think it'd be funny if Red Bull sat out the sprint races.
you're just like, nah, we're good.
We don't need the 8 points. We'd
Well, they
rather
went over
keep-
the cost cap last year without. So
Who could have was hitting
so
though.
we're gonna have trouble.
No, it's dumb though. Is if you're doing a qualifying session, a qualifying should ultimately determine
I can-
where you're starting. Like at the end of the, or whether it's gate pick, it's starting grid, whatever you want to call it, or if you're doing a reverse start, like obviously, depending on whatever form of racing it is, right? So that's what sucks. It's like there's no point, there's no incentive to this other than you could get bonus points. That's the only benefit.
Yeah. Going back to that though, I can guarantee Mercedes has probably gone over the cost cap too. When that team got fined $100 million for spying one year, I can guarantee you they've probably gone over the cost
But there
cap.
was no cost cap then, so it's not illegal.
No, I'm talking about when they with the
I mean,
how they said that Red Bull did it and they were like, oh, they went over the cost and all that. I'm sure Mercedes does it too. They just find better ways to
a little
hide
more
it.
subtle to hide it,
Yeah.
Prostitution
I bet you everyone does.
illegal either in some
Would.
states, but it doesn't mean it's not okay to do it.
Like Mercedes has way more money than Red Bull does. Like colossal more money than Red Bull does. So
I would
Red
think,
Bull-
yeah, because
Red
Red
Bull's
Bull,
pretty pretty good though. I mean, Red Bull's not hurting for money.
No.
No, they're not hurting for my. I'm
Red
just
Bull's
saying.
2 teams.
Red Bull is a media outlet, though. That's what they are. Their drinks don't mean like yes, it's the best energy drink out on the market, but
Other than Fit Aid, our sponsor for.
Mercedes is.
They're not. I know the CEO is Fit Aid. He's not paying us.
All right, but
We're gonna get
Will you-
canceled now.
can you
He's
get
probably
it?
gonna sue us.
can you get it? Yeah,
Shout out to VIP Energy.
Oh God, no! Fuck that guy. He's a piece of shit.
Fuck that guy.
we're never getting a sponsor because all we do is talk shit about everyone.
I'll tell you offline. The
Fuck you, JP.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
There's an old
Tristan has a helmet of it still hang up in his closet. I bet.
That's in the garage, bro. You don't see it in the video. I'm pretty sure it's in the background of Zach's video I made for him. Yeah, no, the fuck the FIA, just in general. The sprint races, that's just unfortunate.
Fuck
That
the
sprint
FIA.
doesn't-
Fuck everything they've ever done to this sport. They took away V10s. They took away V8s. They took away the best tire package we ever had for these tires that we have now. Just fuck them all. Did you guys watch during the best? Did you guys watch during the old tire package?
No.
There were 3 different. It was still Pirelli. There was 3 different rain compounds. There was a super soft.
I knew that. Yeah, purple, right?
Yeah, it was purple. Then a soft, a medium, and a hard, and then I think it was a super hard, and which was like orange or something. It was the best tire package.
Because you got to pick between all of those, right?
You got to pick between all of them.
Because technically now they still have those same 5, but you only get to pick 3, and so the compound just shifts.
No, the FIA chooses which 3 go to which race.
Right.
It's always hard, medium, soft. It's always hard, medium, soft.
Yeah. But so like they have C1 through C5 compound.
Yeah.
But they have 3 that they'll use. So it's either 1, 2, and 3, or 2, 3, and 4, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
but
the problem is,
you used to be able to bring everything to the race.
Yeah.
You had a certain
had
limit
5
on
choices
sets
instead
you
of
can
3.
use, you can use whenever. So I mean, if you were going out for fastest lap, you could put on a super soft tire. They're only going to last 5 laps, but who cares? You put it on at the end of the race.
Right. No,
Who cares if you put it on for
Super soft, I
qualifying?
think would be dangerous though. Like it's gonna just be so. Well, you're
Yeah,
gonna.
they were fine. They were fine.
Which I mean, I'm thinking of.
But the cars are so much heavier now, and
Well, and then
The
when
car-
you run a super hard in Texas when it's like 95 degrees or 130 on the like the asphalt's like 130 degrees. That's I mean you get mega tire like.
well, like I said, they
longevity.
still run all of those. They just only choose 3.
Yeah,
on
they're all
the- on the spectrum.
They only
they don't
they're
get-
always going to choose soft, medium, hard. They're never going to go higher or lower unless they had extreme conditions like Abu Dhabi in the middle of the day in the middle of summer, which is never going to happen because it's the
Yeah, but do you understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
They still have the compounds, like they still have compound 1 through 5,
Right.
and FIA chooses which compounds are going to be soft, medium, hard.
Correct.
But the problem is what a lot of the reports are. They pick the same ones every single race.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And it
usually
doesn't- it
the
doesn't
C2,
hardly change.
C3, and C4, isn't it?
Or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
usually the middle ones.
Yeah,
They never
exactly.
bring super soft or super hard.
Wild card race one time, like, hey, surprise, guys, bam, and they should
Should
use,
just
they should
put
throw
the-
super.
They should
soft
go.
there.
Just put
They
it
should go
back.
C1, C3, C5.
Yeah.
Dude, right? Like that would be pretty legit.
We should just put it like they take away everything good about the sport. And I get that they're trying to bring the cars closer.
Yeah.
They're never going to be closer because you have teams that make billions and teams that make hundreds of millions, and there's difference.
Yeah.
Like I said, Mercedes got fined $100 million 1 year for spine, and they paid it like it was nothing.
They're doing better. What did Red Bull get fined?
Like
8.1?
7 million
Yeah,
or
I
something.
thought it was like 8
It,
million.
it wasn't even the same. Like it wasn't even close. Dude.
7 million.
No, but still, like,
Mercedes literally had a spy inside of Ferrari sending them information on the car. Like it was terrible. It was the
That's
worst.
pretty anxious.
That's pretty
and then just not even
Yeah.
bat it down. Yeah, cool.
Like,
I'll
it
write you
was
the check
terrible.
Monday.
Yeah, we did that. Here we go. How much? Okay. It's sort of like all the money firms, right? All the trading firms.
The hedge funds.
It's like, yeah, all the hedge funds. They do all this shady shit. And it's like, oh, okay, well, like I'm gonna insider trade because I'm gonna make 100 billion. And if I
I'll get
if
paid
I get fined, it's like, oh, 5 billion.
200K,
Great.
cool,
Yeah,
or
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I make they make so much more money than the fines. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have to wrap up here
Yeah.
pretty soon.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we're running out of time. So what else is on the list?
Before we do MFK, is there anything we want to add? We feel good?
Any other hot takes you want to add?
Hot takes? No. No. Hot takes: Lewis is one of the most overrated drivers in history.
I felt personally attacked.
Well, it's time to go.
He was in
Guys,
by
the channel is
the
closed
greatest
down.
car for the longest times, and
Well, hey, remember when he beat Alonso in his rookie season in equal machinery? So
yeah,
maybe that overrated.
I'm not like a complete Alonso. I'm a Schumacher fanboy.
I
I
like
think
he's like Schumacher.
I think Michael is by far the GOAT, and no one ever talks about him anymore because it's our generation now, and they never watched him. I watched him.
I watched some of, but I wasn't
I watched him.
as into it when I was younger. It just wasn't as accessible.
The one thing I will say though, like coming from like the moto background, right, and like watching Ricky, watching Stu, Reed, and you go back and
Chad,
watch those,
Jeremy.
yeah, you go back and watch that shit,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, in
Chad
like 5
Johnson.
years from now, when Lewis isn't around, are we gonna look back and like, fuck, dude, Lewis was like bad as fuck, like, or you know, like that's how you feel about Michael, right? Michael isn't around, like, God, he was so fast, or Alonso, like, dude, Alonso was so underrated that year that he was battling for podiums, like.
I
That's what
think
wonder.
Lewis has the LeBron James effect where
Like,
he was so heavily compared to the person before him. I don't think we're going to look back on him as he's so heavily compared to Michael
yes,
that I
yeah,
think
I
he's
know exactly
always
what you're
going to be the guy that was compared to Michael.
I can see that.
Like I said, Michael, there were reports from Ferrari when he first got there and going into his teammate's car that was already on Ferrari, he was worth 2 seconds a lap. He could go 2 seconds faster than his teammate could. I mean, you don't see that now.
Well, also, like, what? Okay, they were doing that back then. Like, why don't they do that shit now? Like, okay, Max, jump in Checo's car.
I don't think the guys are as talented.
No,
I
no,
think
no, for sure.
Max
But like,
is.
why don't the teams do that? Which that's the other thing that blows my mind. You can only drive the F1 cars so much, right? Like, you can't just like they have the Red Bull
can't
Ring.
drive
Like,
them.
Red Bull can't just go on the last 3 weeks. They can't just go to the Red Bull Ring and drive their cars and figure them out. That shit blows my mind.
That's what like that's kind of what
Like,
Yeah,
why
they have,
can't you do that?
I
they
was
have the
curious,
salary
like,
cap or the
but
cap.
can they not do practice? Like, so they had 3 weeks off, right? Can they not get any track time?
Or like Mercedes. Like Mercedes can't go to Silverstone and just go.
You can only get scheduled
Yeah.
scheduled tests. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah. Well, imagine how much better. Like, I guarantee you, a guy like Logan would be spinning his wheels off at Miami or Circuit Americas or whatever, or Silverstone. He would just be wheeling that car.
That's why I think Danny's going to come back good. Danny's going to come back good. He's
Being-
going to be driving because he can drive last year's car. He just can't drive this year's car.
Oh, can he? So they could
Yeah.
do. He can go do
Oh.
laps at like Red
I
Bull
think
Ring.
it's 2 years. I think it's 2 years.
So he
I
can go
think
to
it's
any
2
track and drive Red Bulls or like whatever, whether it's Red Bull Ring, wherever they're not racing, he could go test.
He can drive the old cars. He can't drive the current car.
I didn't know that. That's pretty gangster.
Yeah, that is.
Do you think Danny's just wheeling like a motherfucker?
So
right now?
I bet he is.
I
He's
think
bad
he's
on
probably-
the
They're
Sims.
talking about how he's like getting back to his old self. So maybe
They
that's
said they were very surprised when he was in the car, when they saw him in the car, that he was different from when he left.
Probably
So-
well, hopefully driving in a different, like a good different, right? Like, oh, he went and learned all this shit, and now he's bringing.
No, yeah, they said he forgot all. They forgot he forgot all of his like errors, with his bad parts.
Got it. Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I don't like about the sport. You can't just go practice, which that's the one thing I think that's dangerous about other sports like motocross. Well, even like MotoGP though, like they don't go practice MotoGP all day. They go ride motocross, which blows my mind. But like
That just shows you how good these guys are, though, in the top levels of
For
these
sure.
sports.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Is like, it goes to show you how good they are with no practice, basically, other than the allotted weekends. Now they
Well-
get sim time, right? And I
How
think
much-
they get.
Well, I
they
think
get
that's
sim
what
time.
makes Max so much better, though, is because all he does is drive sim.
Yeah,
He drives iRacing like every day. It's
Right, yeah. I mean,
it's
but
like-
Lando does too, right? Like he streams and stuff too.
I
Those
don't
guys
think he
are
does
good.
as much as Max, though.
Really, does Max do it that much?
Max does it.
I
I
think-
think that's all he does.
I think Max does it to progress. Lando does it as like an entertainment piece. Like Lando, he gets on the
Yeah,
sim,
yeah.
but then when he's streaming,
Max
Lando's
does
doing
the
that just to,
iRacing
like,
series or
boost
something.
his like
like that.
socialness.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you,
Max
Lando-
does the actual series, I think, or like the big races. They'll do the actual.
yeah, yeah.
Well, so did
competitive
So did
races.
Lando.
he does like
Oh.
they do those like ISMA 6.
Max
or
wins, though.
or ISMA series races.
Max wins them. It's
Wins the
like,
E-series?
what- Yeah, it's like what
They're
the
like he's a
Yeah.
bad dude.
Yeah.
I
I mean, the Sim's got to be easier than the real car. You know what I mean? Like, I think
yeah, that'd be easier.
I think that it's not quite the same, right? You always have that mechanical feel, even though they're all electronic. But
Have you seen Lando's video where he shows Max's setup And then he shows his setup, and it's like Max has like these like 5 monitors and like the whole seat
Oh,
and
yeah, he's got
everything.
the
And
whole,
Lando's
like-
using like a normal steering wheel and pedals.
I'm sure
funny.
Lando's setup isn't like janky as like my setup though.
No, it's not janky,
Oh,
but
I'm
yeah,
sure
like
he-
my
I'm sure-
controller.
Yeah, you got a control. Yeah,
all right. What's the last one? FK.
So,
MFK, marry,
MFK.
fuck, kill.
oh yeah, you said I always call it fuck Mary Kill.
What
But
do you
anyways,
do? Oh yeah,
Um,
FMK. Doesn't matter.
yeah, whatever. Who am I gonna pick? Who am I gonna pick? Can we do old grid or only current grid? I forgot.
Current grid.
Current grid. Okay.
We should do 2 then, because I have the memories for the old ones.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to give him. No, hold on. Yuki.
No, we did
Okay.
Yuki last time. Did we do Yuki last time?
Okay, DeVries.
Didn't we?
DeVries.
Somebody got Yuki.
Well, I need to know all of them before I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
no. So we're gonna. I'll pick DeVries.
Okay, I'm gonna pick Alonso.
Mary.
I was gonna say we should give him a bunch of hard, like,
Albon? No, we did Albon already.
yeah, Max.
We can do Max. let's
Yeah,
do
Max.
So
Fucking Max.
DeVries,
Yeah.
Alonso.
Max DeVries Alonso.
I'm killing DeVries.
I already knew that.
Yeah,
He loves
I'm gonna
the other
marry. I'm
two.
gonna marry Fernando. And I'm a fuck Max.
That's fair. That's fair.
Perfect.
I kind of.
I mean,
I was
Alonso
gonna
is-
pick Alonso in my first guy, but then I was like, no, I'm not gonna pick Alonso because I know he's gonna go straight for Alonso.
I was
He's
thinking
Fernando
give him 3 that he
Alonso.
really likes, and who's he gonna kill?
Oh, that would have been good too.
You could give me an old one. Well, you can make the old one hard. I'm
So it'd
sure.
be like
Let's do
Kimmy, Michael, and
Alonso.
Probably.
Alonso.
That's a hard one.
Kimmy,
That's a
Michael,
hard-
Alonso.
That's a hard one.
That's a
Yeah.
hard one.
I gotta marry Michael.
Yeah, we just saw that.
See, I'm gonna fuck Kimi and I'm gonna kill Fernando.
Oh, right. There it is.
I think Kimi's probably I think Kimi is probably Mount Rushmore of talented F1 drivers ever.
But the problem
Oh, we
is,
should start that segment.
you're gonna be having sex with Kimmy, and he's just gonna be Iceman. And you're not gonna know if you're doing good or not.
That's fine because he's a dude. So that's how I want it to be.
He's like, does this feel good, Kimmy? He's like,
Please don't be
Yeah.
annoying.
No, he's like, can I have a fucking sandwich now?
his interviews are.
I think
The-
I honestly think Kimi is probably one of the most talented F1 drivers
yeah,
ever.
Kimmy's good.
If you needed one guy to go out and set a lap, it's Kimi. You probably call him Kimi
I
Räikkönen.
don't know, man. Leclerc is like the fucking.
He's the new Kimi.
He's like
That's
the.
kind of what he
Yeah,
is.
he's like the qualifying master, but then he can't fucking pull it together for the races. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a race against Lewis when Kimi was on Ferrari. He was on so old tires. I mean, they were showing his tires in slow-mo, destroyed. Like there was nothing left. And he held off Lewis for probably like 5 laps or something like that, with like no tread on his tires. Lewis finally got him, but it was impressive.
Do you remember when Lewis won with 3 tires?
I do. But that was 2021 when he was
Yeah, he was
fucking,
so
like,
ahead. I know, but still, that's pretty impressive. I thought.
It was impressive. I gave it for him to not crash that car was
Yeah.
impressive. That car was just so stupid though. You could have put a monkey in that car and it probably would have won a race.
I think that's racist. So we're gonna end the show right now.
Call Lewis a monkey.
Well, on that note, we got canceled, guys.
An albino monkey.
F1 America gets canceled
Oh my god.
because, well, he can say that he's a ginger.
I'm a ginger.
Yeah,
So,
I can't
no,
say that.
Oh,
yeah,
so
it
it's
canceled
okay
out.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it canceled
perfect.
out.
I think it works.
We should
that
probably
way.
stop talking before we say more fucked up shit.
I wasn't calling Lewis a monkey. I'm just saying.
I know, bro. I know, bro.
Stop talking, Sean.
Like, whoa. You would just call it the
You can cut it. Just cut it.
Yeah,
cut
that
it
was-
out.
got it. Hot takes.
like. Thanks,
Uh,
thanks for joining us. Please like,
We're
share,
definitely
subscribe.
not getting sponsored by Fitted.
We're not sponsored by anyone anymore.
Oh, actually, no, I do have a sponsor. We'll bring it up on the next show.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Are they
I
gonna
got a
deposit
sponsor.
money in my
No,
account?
no,
Because
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
editing these things.
calm down.
Shout out TLD.
No, but Sean, thank you so much for being on the
Thanks,
show.
bro.
I know it was last
Appreciate
minute. It was fun. It was funny. We'll keep it going. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for the couple that joined on Instagram. I think you hopped on and hopped off. And
Good luck in fantasy. I'm rooting for myself against you, but
Thank you,
it's
boys.
gonna be a
You-
fun battle.
If you need some gear, let me know.
Dude, I always want some gear. Hook it up.
Trait too. If you want some gear with your name on it, I see you wearing our stuff. If you want some
Yeah.
gear with your
Oh
name
yeah,
on
I
it.
don't. the plug I had didn't have any. I couldn't do jersey printing on it. So
I can get you jersey printed.
all right, dialed. Sick, dude. Well,
Done. Thanks, bro.
enjoy the
Appreciate
race
it.
this weekend. I'm sure I'll talk to you. But thanks again, and
I'll text you tomorrow night during Supercross probably.
yeah, for sure. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for joining F1 America. We're out.
Later.
Later.
Later, Instagram.